Welcome to Capitol Hill Mixtape, presented by RIAA. I'm your host, Tom Cleese. Welcome to a new year of Capitol Hill Mixtape, presented by RIAA. I'm your host, Tom Cleese. It is my pleasure to be able to continue talking to members of Congress about the music that they listen to on the campaign trail and the music that inspires them in the course of their careers in public service. Today, my guest is Congresswoman Hillary Scholten from Michigan. Congresswoman, thank you so much for being our first guest. And please say a little something to us. You just arrived in Congress. We're very happy to have you. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Oh, well, thank you so much for having me, Tom. It is an honor to be here. I'm gonna drop a music reference right away and say it truly feels like we are entering another dimension. I love the Beastie Boys and intergalactic. Heading into the Congress, first woman in history from West Michigan to take this seat. It really just feels, I'm elated, like I'm on another planet. And, we've had some chaos getting started here, but I'm buckling down and ready to do the work. We got our committee assignments this week, which I can talk about a little bit more later. But we're at such a unique time in our country right now. And the individuals who raised their hands to run for Congress in the wake of the January 6th insurrection, I feel like really represent a new brand of public service. This freshman class, particularly my fellow Democrats, but also Democrats and Republicans, are people who came in eyes wide open to the trials of our American democracy and are ready to get to work to continue moving our country forward. And it's an honor to be a part of this class.
Well, this is always an incredible time in Washington, and there's so much energy that a new class in Congress brings to us. So let's roll the clock back just very briefly to when you decided that you were going to run for this seat. Can you tell us about the music that you were listening to? Like, what's always going to remind you of when you decided to take the plunge and run for office?
Yeah, I dropped that Beastie Boys reference for a reason. It's always been my pump up music. And I started to think about running like so many individuals who flipped seats like I did and don't come from traditional public service backgrounds. I'm actually one of just a handful of members in our incoming 2022 class that didn't serve in the legislature previously. My formative experience when I was considering running for Congress was, thinking about the work that I was doing at the Department of Justice at the time, when, flashback to 2016 when Trump was elected, and we saw some monumental changes starting to happen in our country. I've always been a pretty nonpartisan individual. I was actually, I was not raised a Democrat, but doing the work that I was doing, I really saw what was nonpartisan work get overly politicized at the Justice Department. And, I realized that something beyond Republican and Democrat was happening in our country. And we really needed to sort of take back our rights. And, that strong pump up music of the Beastie Boys, I think really influenced a lot of my take charge attitude. I'm not someone that comes from a lot of money or a lot of status, a lot of political power. I'm just a working mom of two kids who, was ready to stand up and fight for the rights of my community. We launched this just impressive campaign. No one had my district on their radar, but we put it on the map and ultimately were able to successfully flip this seat. I'm the first Democrat in 50 years, only the second Democrat in a century to represent this part of the state, and the first woman in history to do it. I've deeply been influenced by a lot of female musicians. You ask my kids, they joke, when mom rolls up in the minivan to pick me up from, basketball practice, you're just as likely to find, gospel bluegrass as you are, Megan Thee Stallion or Cardi B in mom's minivan. So, these women who have put themselves out there with, such body forward lyrics and music and taken such criticism for it, I feel that as someone who, ran and is now representing a district as the first pro-choice woman in history to represent this part of the country. What else are we talking about than our bodies and how politicized they are and how controversial they have, they have become. So I'll never forget, I'm a part of this group called Elect Democratic Women, and they do these round robin question and answers with members of Congress. And one of the first ones they did, one of the first questions they asked, right, was like, what's your favorite store? And everybody's, talking about some designer store. And I'm like, literally Costco, like literally, let's just set the basics here. That's where we are. And so then the very next question was, Aretha Franklin or Megan Thee Stallion, like you had to popcorn. And I just blew everyone, away when, the Christian mom first answers, Megan Thee Stallion is playing in my car any time that you turn on the radio. So
Well, that is fantastic, and we'd love to hear. We love to hear that there's people who are connecting with music that maybe we didn't expect at first we would connect with. So, okay, so we've established that you're fighting for our right to party. We've established that that there's a lot of different music that's going on and that's pumping you up. So maybe let's move the clock forward. You're now in Congress. You've already had a lot of heart pumping moments. There's probably the first of many. Are there any songs that are helping you unwind from this really high adrenaline point, and it's kind of like recenter you before you get started with the next task?
As someone who I'm married to a musician, so we listen to all kinds of music, and I think as truly when I joke about listening to you could walk into my car, step into my car, and you would either have some bluegrass gospel on or some pumped up rap music. I mean, truly, at the end of the day, I sit in my office and I listen to bluegrass gospel. It really helps me unwind. And I think about my family, who are all musicians and play music at home. It reminds me of the times that we have spent, our really peaceful moments, either on the way to church or going on a family camping trip. That's the music that we listen to. We celebrate a lot of different music throughout our house, and that's what I find I'm putting on at the end of the day.
So now you're here, your office is up and running, you are doing the work of the American people. Is there one thing that you have your office getting started on, or some work that you're already, preparing, that you want people to know more about? It's not necessarily what's on TV right now or what's on social media. What do you want us to know about what your office is doing for Michigan?
Yeah, I got my committee assignments this week, and we really want people to know about that because it's very, it's really exciting. I think right now we see a lot of hype around the oversight committee, around the judiciary committee. And as a no drama mama from the Midwest, I am so excited to be on transportation and infrastructure, talking about roads and bridges, radically non-radical. We are just really getting down to the nitty gritty here. We're talking about the water infrastructure. I'm on aviation, water, and the Coast Guard subcommittees on transportation and infrastructure, and have been honored to be asked to serve as a vice-ranking member on the Coast Guard. Our district covers miles of beautiful Lake Michigan shoreline, and we have an installation of the U.S. Coast Guard in our district. So I'm very excited to be a champion of those hardworking men and women that keep our waterways safe. The Great Lakes are such an incredible resource, not only to our region but the nation and the world. Supplies 90% of the United States freshwater and 20% of our global freshwater supply. So it's a critical resource. We've got to keep it safe. Those are the really sexy headline grabbing things that I'm working on in Congress.
I think we're all happy to have government get a little bit more boring. I don't think it's going to, but it's a great aspiration for folks to have a little bit.
I couldn't agree more with you, Tom. The work that we are doing here is so important. And I think after years of high drama politics, I know I don't only speak for myself when I say that we are ready to have the temperature lowered significantly in this country and just have our representatives get down to work to doing what needs to be done. We have a massive task before us in implementing the Infrastructure and Jobs Act, which was passed in the 117th Congress and allocates billions of dollars across the country in infrastructure projects. We need those in the Midwest and right in West Michigan, Michigan's 3rd congressional district. So making sure that that money is being used as responsibly, as efficiently as possible to fix our roads and bridges, shore up our ports, expand our seaports and expand our airports as well. These are some of the things that we're looking forward to working on. It might not be the top tweet of the night on Twitter, but it's going to make a big difference in our economy. And that means supporting working families. It means protecting our country. These are national security issues at the end of the day. When our roads and bridges are stronger, we're stronger as a country.
Well, we wish you the best of luck in all of that. We look forward to seeing everything you're going to accomplish. Congresswoman Hillary Scholten, thank you so much for joining us for Capitol Hill Mixtape. I am Tom Cleese, and we look forward to seeing everyone again soon.
Thank you so much, Tom.